I just get a feeling there's more gold here.
The way this material is piled up in here, I think the best stuff that there is could be at this corner.
The highly entertaining gold rush is all cutthroat gold mining and determination by some of the best miners in the industry. The compelling series takes us to see how Rick Ness has struggled to bounce back and take hold of his business, but things are off to a rough start. However, with Buzz on the scene and working with Rick, things may take a turn for the better for both men. Buzz Legault is driving a rock truck with great skill, but it isn't at the side of his longtime boss, Fred. Instead, he is driving through an unknown road when suddenly something unexpected stops his truck's movement. He responds quickly to this malfunction and begins pulling over and exiting the vehicle to search for the reason behind his unwanted delay. As Buzz examines the rock truck, he first has the suspicion that something was wrong with the tires. As he walks around the truck, he mutters to himself in annoyance and explains how much he dreads to think something could be wrong with the rock truck's transmission. If the transmission is no longer working, the Ness crew can kiss any ideas of using the ancient rock truck for their work goodbye. It is humbling to see how even Buzz, with all his skill and knowledge of this equipment, is not arrogant or uncaring when faced with the need to fix what's wrong with this dozer. Buzz is fearless as he crouches under the rock truck and examines the undercarriage carefully for the reason of its error. His careful examinations soon pay off when he notices that a couple of joints holding the drive shaft in place has been shorn off. The hard terrain and dangerous Alaskan paths can sometimes damage the vehicles with the rough environment and impact jarring the delicate parts of the machine. This is a huge issue because if Buzz cannot fix this, he will be completely out of a job. Not to mention how Rick will lose out on a ton of money if he isn't able to get back to sluicing gold. When someone's livelihood depends on their tools, this kind of error can be devastating. This entire ordeal has been extremely frustrating for Buzz since he has just finished fixing this problem with this rock truck, and now he has to readdress the problem for a second time. This is the downside of working with out-of-date machines.
It blew up pretty hard. You can see right here. I can put my hand inside the motor. And here's what's left of our piston. It exploded.
They constantly require maintenance that is time-consuming and expensive. Of course, the bright side of this situation is that Buzz knows exactly what to do to fix it. He explains that if the drive shaft is not connected to the rear end, then the truck will not move. His first challenge is to get his hands on the necessary parts and put everything back together. A time-consuming task when the team is under a lot of time constraints this gold mining season. Another issue with fixing this recurring problem is that it's a two-man job, meaning the necessity of pulling someone else away from their work. Of course, when one person in the chain is affected, so are the rest of the crew. This will only set them all back even more, cutting into the little time they have to mine the gold needed for the season. For this reason, Buzz decides to ask the camp's cook for help. Here we meet Travis, who is seen picking up some busted U-bolts that are needed to hold the drive shaft in place, allowing for the power from the motor of the dozer to arrive at its destination in the front and back tires. Travis is happy to present these bolts to Buzz, and they immediately get to planning their next moves. Working together, they head over to the rock truck, and Buzz pulls apart the drive shaft, and they quickly replace the broken bolts with the new ones Travis has collected. The rock truck's engine gives power to the rear wheels, but the problem is that they have found that half the bolts have shattered somewhere along the way. The drive shaft is now totally out of alignment and unable to feed energy to the tires, meaning that the rock truck cannot move even an inch in this condition. Even if moving the truck was an option, it would be unwise to do so, as it would only damage the delicate drive shaft further, denying them the chance to fix it and keep working. As Buzz and Travis work under the rock truck, they identify that one of the bolts they used as a replacement is not the right style and that it went into the wrong hole. This realization has forced them to replace the new bolts all over again before they damage the inside of the drive shaft. The incorrect bolt has already cut the threading inside the drive shaft.
It looks like now we've got one that's wrong bolt in the wrong hole,
So Buzz has to re-thread the hole so they can replace the bolt with a factory-approved piece. This setback has Buzz clearly upset because this has been a careless and amateurish mistake. His bad mood does not stop them from fixing the drive shaft, even if it takes longer than planned. As Buzz climbs back into the rock truck, he tests the engine once more. Everyone relieved when the rock truck seems to be moving even smoother than before. Rick Ness sees Buzz heading his way inside the old rock truck and is glad to see that they are getting back to their schedules. It becomes apparent that he was aware there was an issue while he was busy at work. However, When Buzz and Rick greet each other, Rick says he doesn't even want to know what was wrong with the rock truck in the first place. Since he is just relieved Buzz appeared in time to fix the issue and help out. Buzz jumps right to work as Rick finishes the last of his stockpile. With the rock truck running smoothly again, Buzz will start hauling pay dirt and helping Rick reach his gold ounce goals for the season. Back in Rick's own dozer, he can be heard giving Buzz his flowers and expressing how happy he is with how the situation was handled by Buzz. Rick is particularly impressed by Buzz's ability to problem solve and get back to work so quickly. His achievement of both transporting and fixing this old equipment, as well as his ability to think ahead, convinces Rick that Buzz is the kind of guy he wants around. The Ness crew is back at camp after Buzz fixed the old rock truck, and Rick has begun to work on the second stockpile. He has been able to keep the plant running the whole week. They all relax with some drinks, and Rick tells Buzz that coming from Fred, he did not have much hope. He also comments how much he appreciates all Buzz has done, since he was able to get that old truck running for them against all odds.
There is pressure here.
Come their way. John Deason was born on Tresco in the Isles of Scilly. When he was 1 year old, his fishing father drowned, and the family moved to Pendeen in West Cornwall. In this place, he met Richard Oates, who would become his partner. In the 1851 census, both of them were working in the tin mines of Cornwall. It was 1853 when Mr. Deason moved to Australia, and a year later, Mr. Oates did the same thing to become a gold prospector. They went to Molliagul in 1862 and made a living there for 7 years. Then, in 1864, they hit gold. They found the amazing thing that made history, a huge piece of gold wrapped in quartz that was hidden just below the surface of a slope called Bulldog Gully. Mr. Deason wrote that he tried to use the pick to pick up the rock, but the handle broke because it was so big. He then got a crowbar and dug the nugget out of the ground. It was weighed at the London Chartered Bank in Dunolly, which is about 12 miles away. The nugget was broken up right away because the scales were too big to make a model or take pictures of it. Because people who saw it remember it, a drawing was made of it, and there is now a copy in the Dunolly Museum. Miners in places with lots of gold keep finding important things. For sure, Parker Schnabel has shown that he is a strong person. Let's take a quick look back at his amazing journey. The sparkling nugget. Parker had to find his way through a world full of new claims and cutting-edge technology advances in Season 10 of Gold Rush. A big event happened in the middle of all the digging activity. The electrified nugget was found. Parker, his team, and Gold Rush fans were all very excited about the find because it was so rare and special. When Parker set out on his quest, people were most excited about finding bigger and better things. He hoped to haul and grow his business across Klondike and Scribner Creek. The electric nugget was about 41.8 ounces in weight and got its name from a dendritic crystal attic that looked like lightning bolts. The nugget's unique feature makes it stand out from other finds and a rare natural wonder, which raises its value above its face value. As the season went on, episode 15, $1 Million Payday, became a strong candidate for showing the exciting secret. In the end, the explosive nugget adds a brilliant chapter to Parker's history of gold mining. Its market value is high because it is hard to find and has a beautiful crystal structure. It will always be remembered as an important and memorable Gold Rush find. The bounty at Eureka Creek. Parker set out on a dangerous adventure at the start of Season 7 of Gold Rush. He learned about how hard the mining business is by dealing with problems like broken equipment, unstable hold yields, and the risks of unexplored terrain. Even so, he wasn't going to give up. He invested in cutting-edge technology and tweaked his business to meet his challenges and make a huge recovery. Around the middle of the season, there was a big change, and watchers saw Parker's work at Eureka Creek start to pay off. After that, there was a long time of impressive gold recovery, which is where the name Eureka Creek Bounty comes from. The peak of this reward was reached by episodes like Eureka Payday and King Knopf Klondike. Parker always found a lot of gold, going above and beyond what fans expected and what he had found before. It was impossible to hold back their happiness as the team enjoyed the results of their hard work and persistence. One thing that makes the Eureka Creek Bounty unique is that it was a turning point. Parker's constant success in finding gold in the area made him a leader in the tough world of gold mining. Because he kept having success, he was able to move his business to other places and buy better technology and tools. Even though Parker has found a lot of gold, he is still losing money. Since he started working as a miner when he was 16, he has lost a lot of money. Allow us to look at some of the losses he has went through. A huge $3 million loss. Parker and his team put a lot of money into an area in Alaska and then got 108 ounces of gold from the waste that old gold miners left behind. But what really made things better was an area called the Wolf Cut. It was untouched land that was thought to have more than 2,000 ounces of gold and be worth more than $3 million. They even called this Wolf Cut the most important pit of the season because of how much information it gave them. Parker's crew needed 2 months just to get to the pay layer of the cut because the area is so deep. Things don't always go as planned, though. That's how things were for the team. A terrible flood a few weeks ago turned the Wolf into a lake. Because it was so hard, Parker thought it would be better to take all the money and go to Vegas than to drown in the Wolf Cut. Parker, who was known for being stubborn, wouldn't just give up the place. After some trouble, the team was able to push back the water, and Mark Fors, who was in charge of the operation, finally came down to get the treasure. Parker was keen to find out if there was enough gold for them to risk everything. He went to one spot and moved the dirt around, but it needed to be better. He finally found some fine dirt in another part of the cut, which meant there was gold there. Parker chose to go work and come back in 2 days with the crew. But just when it looked like everything was going to plan and they were going to get some gold, something shocked the whole crew. There was a hole in the wall and mud and water were pouring out of it. It was clear that Mother Nature was not on their side that day. The water that they thought they had gotten rid of was back, but this time it was stronger and a bigger problem than the last time. People on the crew didn't think this would happen. The Wolf Cut could be filled with it again, which would mean a big loss. An excavator hit the side of the pit while digging for pay at the bottom of the cut. This revealed a mine shaft that was full of water, which flooded millions of gallons of water back into the pit and filled the pay grounds. There was nothing wrong with the crew's preparation. They just needed to be more ready. They had one 8-inch pump, but they needed more to get the job done. The second pump was turned on, but it didn't make a big difference. There was still water coming in from all sides. The team lost the battle against the water after they turned on both pumps. They had no choice but to take the pump out of the wash plant. It was such a big choice, though, and Parker should have made the call. The problem was that he wasn't there or answering his phone. They were in a tough spot. The area would flood if they didn't pull the pump from the wash plant to help the other 2 pumps, and they would lose their pay in the Wolf Cut. It would be hard to believe how much would be lost. Tyler made the tough choice to turn off the wash plant and remove its pump, which doubled their ability to drain. They had to leave the area while the pumps did their thing. In 24 hours, the pumps took away 10 million gallons of water. Parker finally came back, and he was very excited to see the first edit of the Wolf Cut. Instead, people told him stories about the flood that had happened. Parker's trouble with water was still going on, though. In a different story, he came into contact with water again when his mining ground in the Wolf Cut was taken over by water. Underwater mine site. Parker was looking for a pay streak in the 4-acre Wolf Cut on his Alaskan claim. He hoped that it would bring him at least 1,000 ounces this season. The pay dirt was 30 feet below, and the team had to dig out 1,000 yards of extra material to get to it. 4 feet more, and they would be below water. After that, it would be 30 feet before they hit rocks. But things weren't really fine as they seemed at first. The process